Chosen one, there is a reason why certain ancient texts were hidden. There is a reason why some books were removed from the Bible, why some teachings were erased, and why the Vatican has kept certain knowledge locked away. For centuries, they went to great lengths to ensure that these truths remained buried, hidden from the masses, never reaching the eyes of those who might understand their power. They knew that if this knowledge surfaced, it would awaken a wave of change that they could no longer control. And now, the truth is finally coming out. You've felt it, haven't you? That nagging sense that there is more, that you've been kept in the dark about something essential. You're not alone. The knowledge they suppressed for so long is finally being revealed, and it's time for you to understand what it all means. If this message already speaks to your soul, subscribe, like this video, and comment 77 below. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to hear will change everything. The lost teachings that were kept hidden from the world. Long ago, before humanity became fragmented by borders and ideologies, sacred teachings existed to guide the soul back to its divine origin. These weren't dry instructions or ancient fables. They were the original blueprints, the spiritual maps that offered not only clarity but purpose. At their core, these teachings revealed a truth that was both liberating and transformative, that the divine wasn't distant or inaccessible, but woven into the very fabric of who we are. Such knowledge empowered individuals to transcend the limitations of their physical existence, drawing them closer to the Creator's design. For a time, this wisdom was carefully guarded, entrusted to a chosen few who carried the responsibility of ensuring it remained intact. They understood that what they held wasn't just for their time, but for generations yet unborn. And then everything changed. As the world grew more structured, power began to shift. The simplicity and purity of these teachings stood in stark contrast to the rising institutions that sought control over the spiritual and the material realms. Institutions quickly recognized the challenge posed by an enlightened populace. How could they maintain authority when the people were awakening to their inherent divine connection? The teachings had to be silenced. Some were declared heretical and destroyed outright. Others were meticulously altered, their meanings obscured to ensure that the light they carried would dim. The most precious truths were hidden in remote corners of the world, locked in secret archives, or buried under the weight of centuries of disinformation. This wasn't just a physical loss, it was a spiritual theft. The chain of transmission from teacher to student was broken, and with it, humanity's compass to the divine was disrupted. As centuries passed, the once vivid memory of these teachings faded into faint whispers. Stories turned into myths, and myths into forgotten fragments. An entire generation grew up without access to the truths that had once illuminated the path forward. People felt the loss deeply, even if they couldn't name it. It manifested as a collective restlessness, an unshakable feeling that something was missing. And yet, these teachings never fully disappeared. Like embers buried in ash, they remained, waiting for the right moment to ignite once more. Certain individuals, those who sought with pure intent, who refused to be satisfied by surface answers, began to rediscover pieces of this knowledge. Their perseverance kept the flame alive, ensuring that the wisdom wouldn't vanish entirely. Over time, the faint whispers grew louder. Ancient scrolls thought to be lost forever were unearthed. Texts hidden in monastic libraries and private collections came into the light. Archaeological discoveries revealed inscriptions and manuscripts that echoed the original teachings. These were not coincidences. They were the cracks in the dam that institutions had built to keep this wisdom contained. Scholars, historians, and spiritual seekers began to piece together the puzzle. Forgotten languages were deciphered, revealing texts that spoke of humanity's divine potential, our eternal connection to the Creator, and the spiritual truths that transcended all religious dogma. The floodgates were slowly opening, and with them came the realization that the knowledge once considered dangerous was now within reach. But why was this knowledge hidden to begin with? The answer lies not just in the desire for control, but in the fear of what would happen if the truth were known. The teachings emphasize that the divine was not an external force residing in a distant heaven, but a living presence within each individual. To recognize this truth would mean that no institution, no intermediary, could dictate how one connected to God. It would mean that power would shift back into the hands of the people. This realization terrified those who relied on maintaining authority over the spiritual lives of others. By suppressing these teachings, they ensured that the masses would remain reliant on them for guidance, never realizing they held the key to their own liberation. Now, in a time when information can no longer be hidden as easily, these lost teachings are finding their way back into the world. The long-suppressed truths are being revealed, not as relics of the past, but as living wisdom that speaks directly to the challenges and questions of our time. You are not hearing this by accident. The knowledge that was once obscured is coming to light now because the world is ready for it. It's no coincidence that as you've been searching, these teachings have begun to resurface. The path that was hidden is becoming visible, and the map that was taken from you is being returned. This isn't just a historical revelation. It's a deeply personal awakening. As you begin to embrace this recovered wisdom, you'll find that it resonates with something deep inside you. It confirms what you've felt all along, that you were always connected to the divine, that your purpose was never lost, only obscured. The teachings that once illuminated the path for ancient seekers now light your way. You can see now that the loss was temporary, that the light never fully faded, and that you were always meant to find it again. And as these ancient blueprints unfold before you, they reveal not just what was taken, but why it was taken, and why at this moment it is being returned to you. Why the Vatican worked to suppress this knowledge. Imagine what it would feel like to have something taken from you, something that was meant to give you freedom, clarity, and direct access to the divine. That's what they have done for centuries, keeping sacred knowledge hidden in order to maintain control. They knew that if you discovered the truth, you wouldn't rely on their rituals, their hierarchies, or their permission to commune with God. They knew that if the masses awakened to the power within these teachings, the entire structure of their authority would crumble. You wouldn't need a mediator. You wouldn't need their approval. You'd see that the divine is already within you, and that kind of revelation is terrifying to those who depend on your dependence. In the early days of the faith, certain texts and teachings were readily shared among believers. These writings were vibrant with life, offering not just guidance, but an intimate connection to the Creator. Yet as the years passed, certain voices rose to prominence, proclaiming themselves the sole interpreters of God's will. They began to decide which texts were acceptable and which were not. They labeled some as heretical, claiming they threatened the unity of the Church or contradicted established doctrine. But behind closed doors, the true reason was much simpler. These texts threatened their control. They revealed that God was not bound by their rules, that the divine could be accessed directly by anyone who sought with an open heart. And so, these teachings were suppressed, not because they were dangerous to faith, but because they were dangerous to the hierarchy. Over time, a carefully curated collection of scripture was solidified, and everything else was deemed unworthy. Yet, many of these excluded texts were not abandoned because they were false. They were set aside because they offered too much freedom. They suggested that God's love and wisdom were not confined to a single institution. They spoke of personal transformation, of direct encounters with the divine that didn't require the blessing of a bishop or the approval of the Vatican. They urged believers to look inward, to seek God in their own hearts and lives rather than solely in the words of an appointed authority. For those in power, this was a problem. If people no longer needed intermediaries, then the role of the institution would diminish. The entire structure would lose its grip on the faithful, and that was a risk they weren't willing to take. So, they began a campaign of suppression. They declared certain writings dangerous, even evil. They destroyed manuscripts, silenced those who taught from them, and spread the idea that these texts were meant to be forgotten. This wasn't about protecting the church or preserving the faith. It was about ensuring that the people stayed reliant on the established system. By keeping these teachings hidden, they kept believers in a state of spiritual infancy, always looking to the institution for answers, never realizing they had the power to find God on their own. The very knowledge that could have empowered individuals was locked away, and in its place, the faithful were given a carefully controlled version of the truth. But no suppression lasts forever. As centuries passed, bits and pieces of these lost teachings began to resurface. Scholars found fragments in ancient libraries. Hidden manuscripts were unearthed, revealing messages that spoke directly to the soul. People began to question why these texts had been hidden. What were they so afraid of? The answer was clear. The truth contained within these teachings had the potential to set people free. It reminded them that they were created in the image of God, that they didn't need permission to pray, to seek, to grow. It showed that faith was not about submission to a human authority, but about awakening to the divine presence that has always been with them. The institutions that had long suppressed this knowledge could feel their grip loosening. The truth was slipping through their fingers, and they couldn't stop it. What they had tried so hard to contain was now breaking free. People were starting to see beyond the facade, to question the narrative they had been given. They realized that these teachings were not heretical. They were revolutionary. They didn't tear down faith. They restored it to its original purity. They didn't lead people away from God. They brought them closer. And this realization sparked something deep within the hearts of those who had always felt there was more to their faith than what they were taught. It wasn't just about what had been hidden. It was about what had been lost, the intimate, personal connection to the Creator that these teachings had always intended to offer. Now, as this truth emerges, it is changing the way people see themselves and their relationship with the divine. They no longer feel the need to go through layers of human authority to reach God. They see that the sacred is not locked behind gates, but written in their hearts. The fear that had been instilled in them is being replaced by a quiet confidence. They understand that their worth isn't determined by an institution, but by the Creator who made them. The knowledge that was once suppressed is becoming a light for those who were kept in the dark, and the power that was once hoarded is being returned to the people. The Vatican can no longer keep this knowledge hidden, and the faithful are discovering a truth that was always theirs to begin with. How this hidden knowledge connects to chosen ones. Many of you have felt it, an unshakable sense that you're meant for more. Perhaps it's the way you've always seemed to stand out, or the inner pull you felt towards something greater. Maybe it's the whispers in your heart that won't let you settle, no matter how much you try to blend in. For so long, you've wondered why you felt so different, so apart from the world around you. The answers you've been searching for are closer than you think. There's a reason why your journey has been marked by challenges, by questions that no one else seemed to ask. You aren't alone in this. The truth is that you've been chosen, and the knowledge that connects to your identity as a chosen one has been hidden. Until now, for years, you may have struggled with the weight of feeling different. It hasn't always been easy. Perhaps you've wrestled with rejection, with people misunderstanding your purpose or questioning your path. Maybe you've felt isolated, as though the world around you is moving to a rhythm you can't quite follow. You've searched for guidance, only to find fragments of truth scattered across your life. never a full picture. The frustration builds and doubt creeps in. Why is this happening? Why do you feel this way? These moments of uncertainty, of feeling out of place, are not just coincidences. They are markers of a deeper truth that has been kept from you. But that truth is beginning to rise, and with it comes the clarity you've been seeking. There comes a moment when the questions turn into answers, when the searching leads to discovery. This is that moment. Imagine for a moment that the hidden knowledge you've been seeking wasn't lost, but concealed, deliberately kept from you. The ancient teachings that spoke directly to those who were chosen were pushed into the shadows, so their power wouldn't be known. The Bible tells us in Proverbs 25 verse 2, "It is the glory of God to conceal a matter. To search out a matter is the glory of kings." You've been searching, and now you are uncovering the glory hidden beneath the surface. This is not an accident. The struggles you faced were preparing you to handle the weight of this revelation. The truth was always meant to find you. Now, as it emerges, it affirms what you've known in your heart. You were made for more. As you begin to embrace the knowledge that was hidden, you'll notice a shift within yourself. The things that once confused you now make sense. You start to see patterns in your life that weren't obvious before. Small, seemingly insignificant events reveal themselves as stepping stones that led you here. You might experience a heightened sense of awareness, an ability to see through the surface of things and into the deeper reality beneath. These aren't random coincidences. They are signs of your awakening. The more you align with the truth of who you are, the more the world around you begins to align as well. Opportunities appear where there once were none. Your relationships grow deeper, more meaningful. You feel a sense of purpose that you've never known before. These transformations, both visible and invisible, are the evidence of the knowledge working within you, guiding you toward your destiny. What you're experiencing isn't just a change in mindset, it's divine alignment. The knowledge that connects you to your identity as a chosen one is awakening something profound. You may start to notice synchronicities that feel too perfect to be chance. Moments when events align so perfectly that it's as if the universe itself is conspiring to guide you. These are not accidents. The Creator has been at work all along, orchestrating these moments, clearing your path, and setting you on a course toward your purpose. It was never a test of your endurance, but a preparation for your elevation. The forces that sought to keep this knowledge hidden can no longer block its power. The truth is finding you now, and with it comes a sense of peace, of belonging, and of unstoppable momentum. As you move deeper into this revelation, you reach a point of self-realization that is undeniable. The knowledge that connects to the chosen ones isn't just intellectual, it's personal. You begin to see yourself in these ancient teachings. You recognize your journey in their words, your experiences in their lessons. This is where it becomes deeply real, but it's also a moment of choice. Many resist their own transformation out of fear. Fear of change, fear of what others might think, fear of stepping fully into their power. You now stand at a crossroads. The awareness you've gained is a gift, but it's up to you to fully embrace it. To do so means trusting that the path you're on is guided, that the struggles you faced were never wasted, and that your unique journey is no accident. This is a sacred moment, one where you must decide to move forward without hesitation. You've been given this knowledge not to keep it hidden, but to live it out. It's time to step into the truth of who you are. Release the fears that held you back, the doubts that made you question your worth. They were never meant to define you. You are stronger than you realize, and the fact that you've reached this point proves it. Take the next step, deepen your spiritual practice, trust the process, and allow yourself to fully align with your calling. You have a purpose that only you can fulfill, and now you have the tools to do it. It's not just about knowing the truth, it's about living it. Embrace the power within you and walk forward with confidence, knowing that you are supported by something far greater than yourself. As you move forward on this path, remember that the truth you've discovered is just the beginning. The knowledge that connects you to the chosen ones is a reminder of who you've always been. Now it's time to live as that person, to walk in that purpose, and to shine that light for others to see. If this resonates with you, comment "Awakening" below. Share this message with someone who needs to hear it. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to this channel for more revelations that will help you on your journey. Together, we'll continue to uncover the truth, one step at a time. The signs that this secret is finally being exposed. The world feels like it's shifting, doesn't it? What was once dismissed as myth or conspiracy now feels like undeniable truth unfolding before your eyes. You've noticed the signs, even if you couldn't quite put them into words. The subtle shift in the way information surfaces, the growing sense that the narrative you were taught doesn't tell the whole story. Maybe you felt it in the unease of what used to comfort you, or in the quiet pull to look deeper. You are not imagining this. The signs are real, and the truth is pushing through the cracks. You're not alone in sensing it. What you're witnessing is a breaking point in history, where centuries of suppression can no longer hold back what's been hidden. For generations, the very existence of these secrets was denied, dismissed as mere fantasy. Anyone who questioned why certain texts were excluded or why certain truths never made it to the light of day was ridiculed or silenced. It was easier that way, to keep people compliant, comfortable, and unaware. But comfort comes at a cost, doesn't it? How many times have you felt that gnawing sense of incompletion, that there was something more out there that you just couldn't access? It's like being given a map with pieces missing, forcing you to wander in circles while the path you need remains just out of reach. That frustration, that feeling of being on the edge of something profound but just not able to grasp it, that's no accident. It's the result of generations of truth being deliberately obscured. And then something shifts. Maybe it was an article you stumbled upon, or a conversation with someone who saw the same patterns you did. Maybe it was a documentary that revealed a small detail you'd never heard before, and suddenly a floodgate opened. Suddenly, those whispers of doubt become a roar of certainty. The pieces of the puzzle that never quite fit start clicking into place. Isaiah 29 verses 18 to 19 speaks of a time when the eyes of the blind shall see out of obscurity and out of darkness. Could this be that time? Could the blind be the masses, and the darkness the shroud of secrecy that has kept this knowledge buried? As you realize this, the frustration of your search transforms into the excitement of discovery. This is not just a coincidence. It's a turning point. The truth is revealing itself, and you are one of the few who are ready to see it. With every step you take toward the truth, you notice the world responding in kind. It's as if everything around you is aligning to guide you toward greater understanding. Articles appear in your feed that echo questions you've been asking in your mind. Books you never thought to read find their way into your hands. Conversations that once felt shallow now reveal deeper meaning. Even seemingly random encounters start to feel intentional, as though the universe itself is conspiring to help you see what was hidden. It's not just the information that's changing, it's the very fabric of your reality. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations. The doors that were once sealed are swinging open, and the light pouring through is unmistakable. What's happening isn't just the uncovering of old documents or lost scriptures. It's a divine alignment. The barriers that kept you from accessing this knowledge were never meant to last forever. They were like dams holding back a flood, and now the pressure is too great to contain. Synchronicities that seemed like chance occurrences are now undeniable markers of divine timing. It's as if the universe, or something much greater, has been carefully orchestrating the circumstances so that this truth would find you exactly when you were ready. It's not just about the ancient texts or the secrets they reveal. It's about the calling that those texts confirm within you. The forces that once hid the truth now find themselves powerless against the overwhelming tide of awakening. As the truth comes to light, you feel a deep shift within yourself. It's no longer just an intellectual understanding. You begin to see how your own experiences have prepared you for this moment. The questions you've been asking, the challenges you've faced, the doubts you've battled, they all led you to this. There's a sense of validation, of realizing that you weren't mistaken to feel different, to sense that there was more to the story. But this self-realization also comes with a choice. It's not enough to see the signs. You have to step into what they mean. Fear and uncertainty may still linger, but the path forward is clear. This is the moment when you decide to fully accept who you are and what you're called to do. Now that the veil has been lifted, you stand in a position of empowerment, no longer bound by the lies that kept you in the dark. You are free to walk in truth, but freedom comes with responsibility. What will you do with this knowledge? How will you live in alignment with the truth you now see so clearly? It's time to trust yourself, to trust the process, and to trust that this unfolding is part of a greater plan. Your journey doesn't end here. It begins anew. By stepping into this new reality, you not only transform your own life, but you also become a beacon for others. The ripple effect of your awakening can inspire countless others to start their own journey toward truth. And so here you are. The walls of secrecy have crumbled. The hidden has been revealed. The truth they tried so hard to keep from you is now yours to carry forward. It's not just about uncovering what was lost. It's about living in a way that honors it. Let this be your moment of transformation, your point of no return. If you feel this resonates with you, comment "revealed" below and let the world know you're ready to embrace the truth. Share this message so others can join this awakening. Subscribe for more insights as we continue to uncover what was meant to be hidden. Together, we walk in truth. What happens next now that the truth is out? What happens next now that the truth is out? The answers you've long searched for are no longer hidden in the shadows, no longer wrapped in doubt. Instead, they stand before you in undeniable clarity. This is the moment when the veil lifts, and you realize that everything leading up to this point, every question, every struggle, every quiet wondering, was preparing you for this awakening. You are no longer just a seeker. You are someone who has found a piece of the puzzle, a key that was once withheld from you. It's overwhelming and exhilarating all at once. What was once cloudy is now sharp. What once felt out of reach is now within your grasp. The truth has come to light, and it changes everything. But with that clarity comes a weight. This truth is not just a gift. It's a responsibility. You begin to see that your journey isn't solely about your own understanding. It's about the role you play in a much larger plan. Those who have not yet seen, those who still feel lost in the narrative that was carefully constructed to keep them blind, are waiting, whether they realize it or not. They need the light you now carry. And yet, there's a temptation to shrink back, to question whether you're ready to carry such a burden. That inner voice of doubt, the one that whispers, "Who am I to speak out? Who am I to share this truth?" It becomes louder in moments like these. But then you remember, this truth came to you for a reason. It chose you as much as you chose to seek it. And so, you start to see that you can't turn back now. The knowledge you hold is too vital, too necessary, to keep to yourself. It's at this turning point that you realize the divine purpose behind the struggle. Perhaps you didn't understand it then, but every hardship, every question that went unanswered, every moment of frustration was part of a grander plan. This is your time. The truth is out, and you are standing at the threshold of a new chapter. You are no longer in the dark, no longer held back by the lies and secrets that once surrounded you. You have stepped into the light, into your purpose, into the fullness of who you were meant to be. Subscribe if you haven't yet, like this video, and comment, "I am chosen to let this message anchor in your soul." Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Your spiritual path deserves more than fragments. Step into the full light. The time is now. Will you answer the call